stranger things have happened. Usually a Republican wouldn't get that endorsement. For many, many years, they only do Democrats, but in my case, it's different because I've employed thousands of Teamsters, and I thought we should come over and pay our respects. And as you know, a big part of the voting bloc votes for me, a very big part. Some people say more than 50%. Nobody knows what the exact number is, but some people say more than 50% of the Teamsters vote for me. So we had a very, very productive meeting, I think, with a lot of Teamster representatives upstairs. Okay?
Mr. President.
Now, as you said, the exit polls that we have show that union households broke for Joe Biden, not for Donald Trump, as he implied there. Obviously, we don't have the breakdown of Teamsters versus other unions. But again, this is an attempt, as you said, to drive a wedge between Joe Biden and this voting bloc.
Whatever the critics out there, and they're very few in the leadership, whenever I get an opportunity to highlight the American worker, especially the Teamster worker, I'm going to take any and all venue. We asked both conventions respectively at the same time, and the Republican National Convention immediately responded to us, didn't try and edit any of our messages, and I was hopeful that the Democrats would do the same, but they didn't. I'm not upset about it, but I can tell you this, my rank and file members who have been lifelong Democrats are not happy about it.
Yeah, I know there were some members of the union who spoke, but that's not the same as having the leader of the organization speak. Very quickly, did you choose to speak at the Republican convention, which is a pretty unusual move for a union leader, because you feel that Trump has been more pro-labor than past Republican nominees?
No, not at all. I spoke there because it was the ability to highlight how important we are. It was the ability to call out the people, the corporate elitists, who forget who built this country, the American workers. You know, people like to, have their own opinions on why we were there, but I was there to talk about the American workers. It wasn't an endorsement for any and all Republicans. It was strictly a message about how important and how valuable we are, and to let the people know that fight us every day, that we're not going away.
27%. I mean, that's not very close. Look, these are working men and women who want a job. They want America to grow. I think they recognize the strength in Donald Trump and the weakness in Kamala Harris. And this also, if you look at the date range, the polling is actually going on at the date of the debate and then beyond the debate. So I don't think she gained the kind of ground that Democrats are trying to spin that she did. Americans want to work, Teamsters want to work, and they know that Donald Trump in those 4 years was a lot better than the last 3.5 years.
Kamala Harris is the first Democrat since, I believe, Bill Clinton to not get a Teamster endorsement, right? After the members decided to back Trump, as you saw from the intro, Donald Trump won that, 27%, the news reporter said. I gave you the beginning, where Donald Trump, he had a meeting with some of the Teamsters presidents and executives, and the CNN attempted to spin it as, oh, wait, these people voted 60-40 for Biden in 2020. This when Biden was still in the race, I believe. And you might as well have said that the CNN was being the arm of the Democratic Party at that point. It's like, who cares about past history? People change their minds. It's been 4 years since they last voted for Biden. Things could have changed. Just like in 2016, a lot of Trump's voters were previous Obama voters. But for some reason, CNN in their head, they think that these people would not change their minds after 4 years of what they've been dealing with, after dealing with an administration that introduced the highest inflation rate in 40 years, to the point that they had to pass a bill to fix their problem that they created in the same year. Make it make sense. We passed the Inflation Reduction Act, I believe, in 2022 because of all the things they did in 2021. Make it make sense. But you didn't think that would hurt the workers? You didn't think that Donald Trump's no tax on overtime, you think that played a part into it? I think that played a big part into what the Teamsters decided to vote for. And I find it baffling that they didn't want to endorse Donald Trump. Right? They still want to keep their options open. Like, how clear can you get? 27% of your union members say they're going for Donald Trump. I think that warrants an endorsement. But, hey, look, this is one of the reasons why I don't really, I'm kind of in the middle with it when it comes to labor unions. Because even though the labor unions members say, hey, we're going for Trump, Teamsters still don't want to give their endorsement. They still want to play this game of, I want to keep my options open. Like something's going to change. Kamala's been talking in circles for I don't know how long in this campaign, right? But one thing I want to highlight is Donald Trump talks about how he's not a partisan ideologue, that he only looks at results. And it seems like the results that it seems like the campaign trail that he's running right now is very effective. Because if you saw some of his clips from his Long Island rally, he packed the stadium. I believe he had the stadium only could hold 16,000 people. He had 60,000 people registered for that rally. There's a lot of growing support for Donald Trump. And hey, look, stranger things can happen. But before I go, I want to talk about how RFK pointed out that he's noticing, and I think many people notice this, especially if you're in the middle, especially if you're independent, especially if you're a former Democrat. There's a lot of political realignment that's going on currently in this election. Let's take a look.
We're seeing now this inversion in the two parties. And, you know, one of the things that Charlie said to me earlier on this evening was that Donald Trump chased all the rich people out of the Democratic Party. I mean, out of the Republican Party. And he's made this party the party of the American middle class, restoring the middle class, the party of small businesses, of Main Street, of public health, of peace, of global leadership, and all of the things that are, you know, when Democrats hear the word MAGA, they say, oh, it's racism, it's the, you know, the opposite of progressive thought, it's intolerance. You know, but I look at MAGA and I talk to MAGA people all over this country and MAHA people all over this country, and it's the opposite of that. They're the most idealistic, optimistic people. They love our country. And when we talk about making America great again, that's what I think about making it the country before we took that wrong turn after my uncle's assassination and after the 1960s. We started down that road, and we've been on a downhill slope ever since then. And we now need to return it to the idealism of the 1960s.
And that's what's interesting and exciting to me, not to change the subject, about Bobby Kennedy, when he gave a speech at a Trump rally, and he talked about getting the corruption out of FDA and the CDC and our captured regulatory agencies, and fighting big agra and cleaning up our water and our food supply and fighting childhood obesity. And what's the important thing is, people say to me, well, Jim, you don't really think Trump's going to do that. I go, it doesn't matter to me if Trump's going to do that as much as it matters that there was a stadium full of Republican voters who were cheering on traditional Democratic values, things that I would cheer on, they were cheering on. And that's the thing that's threatening to the establishment, Dr. Drew, is that if the populist left and the populist right realize we have more in common that divides us, then we could come together and fight the oligarchy, because that's what's needed right now to save our democracy. And they don't want you to know that. They want to keep dividing us. That's and there's a million ways that they do that.
As you can see, I do honestly believe that a political realignment is going on. And I'm not saying political realignment as in we're going to switch values or no. I think what's going on here is that I think Americans are starting to realize, a lot of these policies that the Democrats are pushing ain't working. Let's give the Republican a try. Because that's Donald Trump's pitch to all Americans. What do you have to lose? Union members, what do you have to lose? Black voters, what do you have to lose? Like, you're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again? And look at the results. Biden was president, and look what happened to the union workers. They got kicked out. Essentially, I think this was Michigan? I forget where. But you got factories still shutting down. So they're seeing this is like, I want manufacturing to come back to America, right? That serves the interest of the unions, by the way. I think that warrants an endorsement, in my personal opinion. The last time the Teamsters endorsed a Republican presidential candidate was in the 1988 for then candidate George H.W. Bush. CBC News noted that they previously endorsed President Richard Nixon in 1972 and President Ronald Reagan in 1980 and 1984. The New York Times said that the Teamsters' refusal to endorse either candidate was a significant blow to Harris, who is hoping for a strong showing from union members this fall. Bro, if the Democrats ain't freaking out, bro, you don't like. You were blind. Apparently, many people, especially like older people that I talk to, they say, that's a big deal. He said, that's a big deal. And I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, if that's a vote that Biden won 60% of. And if that holds and Trump's able to get that in November, hey man, strong chance he flip at least Michigan, maybe even Pennsylvania. I'll have an even stronger feeling about Michigan and all and Pennsylvania. A lot of these where manufacturing is like the pinnacle, I guess. But before I go in, I wanted to give more of my commentary with this reaction from Teamsters not endorsing a Democrat, essentially. Let's take a look.
What, 30 years? They didn't endorse Trump either, but released a poll from their members. If it were up to the members, they'd give Trump a full-throated endorsement. Look at that. The Teamsters love Trump. Just can't endorse him because
and this poll, I believe, was done by 1.3 million union workers. So that's not a small sample size there. I'm just saying. I just wanted to highlight that before we continue with the video.
it'll look bad.
It's a great honor. They're not going to endorse the Democrats. That's a big thing. And this is the first time in, I guess, 50, 60 years that that's happened. Democrats automatically have the Teamsters. They took a vote, and I guess I was at 60% or more, and that's a great honor.
A new Gallup poll has Trump beating Kamala with independents by 25 points. And a new Fox News battleground poll. Trump's ahead 2. There's your election.
Remember when I was doing these videos and I was saying that, hey, on substance, Trump won. On appearances, Kamala seemed to have won. And then I pointed out the mistake she made. I say, oh, she hasn't specified anything. Everyone came to this debate to know more about Kamala Harris, and she has done nothing but emphasize Trump. And in my view, I'm like, yo, you lost the debate, Kamala, because on the substance, your job was to clarify your positions. Clarity was the #1 priority for me for Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris didn't give any clarification on what she was going to do. Everything she made was criticism about what Trump did, what Trump's doing. And I'm like, yo, you're in office right now. We need to be talking about what you're going to do differently than what your current boss is doing. But you don't want to talk about yourself. You want to talk about how bad the other guy is. And that's not a winning platform for independents. I'm just saying as an independent.
A CBS reporter in Nevada went from restaurant to restaurant and could barely find a single Harris supporter. Watch.
But what was really incredible is in every single restaurant of the people willing to talk to us, we could only find one Harris supporter in every restaurant. And we left no stone unturned.
I want someone who's strong, who demands respect and who gets the respect and who can deal with foreign leaders. I think Trump's the guy.
Everybody feels it at the grocery store, at the gas pumps. And yes, I do contribute that to Biden.
Sometimes the solution is you got to tear it down and rebuild. I'm extremely concerned about the border. There are people who have come here legally.
And that's another thing that I think Teamster members, union members are realizing too, is that illegal immigration, it hurts their interest. Like illegals are taking, I think during Spring for Ohio, they talked about how Haitian immigrants are coming in, businesses want them because they're hardworking and all this stuff. And this is the incentive structure that's been created, is that these jobs don't pay enough to maintain the average household in America. But at the same time, you're competing against labor that is willing to take those jobs at that price point. So what incentive does businesses have to change to actually increase their wages? This is another thing I think union members are noticing, is that the fact that the Biden administration and Harris administration, they're allowing all these illegals to come in and flood these towns and essentially almost take over with a lot of government support. And they don't like that trend. They're like, oh, this threatens, because at the end of the day, like I said, mass immigration threatens the native population. And this is a threat to unions. Mass immigration is a threat to unions as well. So you can see it as almost like a self-preservation of why a lot of these union members are willing to vote for Donald Trump at 27% difference.
Why do they get pushed aside?
Voters are realizing Kamala doesn't have the solutions to the problems she created. And here she is being asked, are Americans better off than they were 4 years ago? Listen.
I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother was hardworking. She raised me and my sister Maya. She saved up, and it was only by the time I was a teenager that she could afford to actually buy her first home. And I know, and I identify with, I know where I come from.
Madam Vice President.
And I know, but I'm just going to finish. I know that so many people work so hard and should have the opportunity to just get their foot in the door. Again, so it's not just about getting by, but getting ahead.
Every answer is a dodge. Every one. Even CNN is picking up on it.
When you listen to Kamala Harris on what she will do, you can almost start a drinking game every time she says small businesses. Describe the politics of that.
When she says that, she also talks about being a middle-class kid. That's also at the front of her answers.
Today, she was at a Hispanic event in Washington, and she said nothing.
I love you back.
What? I know you ain't doing no Spanish accent, Kamala Harris. I know you're not doing a Spanish accent. At least I have an excuse. You know, my wife's Hispanic. I can play around like that. But you? Not too good. Not too good.
I grew up understanding the children of the community are the children of the community. Recently, I was in Nevada. I'm in these streets, let me tell you, I'm everywhere. We have some work to do. In fact, a lot of hard work ahead of us. But we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work is joyful work, I say.
Kamala's running.
You know what it is? It's pandering. I think that's why I can't stand Kamala Harris. I can't stand people trying to pander to me because I feel like it's a distraction on, okay, what you could do. Like, what are your policies? Like, what plan are you trying to articulate?
Running out the clock so you don't hear about her dangerous policies. She talks about an opportunity economy. But what that really means is that she'll just take it as an opportunity to take all your money and give it to people she likes more than you. She'll take trillions of dollars out of the economy, spend it on equity welfare. $1 billion for trans, $1 billion for migrants. You know how it goes. She's going to raise taxes so high, companies are going to have to lay you off. We're going to go into a recession. And then she's going to spend more money trying to bail herself out. She says she's a career prosecutor, but her record's criminal. She's going to decriminalize drugs, empty the prisons, and just like in California, you're going to be allowed to steal anything just under $1,000.
And this is why she gets called a Marxist communist by many conservatives, right? And it's based because of her previous positions in the past. 2019, she was considered the most, to me, progressive senator. Had a more progressive voting record than Bernie Sanders. Yet get mad when we call her a Marxist. Trump calls her a communist. And that's based on her previous actions before. Right? But you're allowed to call Trump Hitler. The things that Democrats are allowed to rattle off, it's baffling to me, right? And it just goes to show that Trump is really I already talked about MAGA. I think MAGA is like the end of tribalism. If you try to evaluate the MAGA movement with tribal lens, whether you're Republican or Democrat, you hate it. I think if you're like a Bush style Republican, if you're a Mitt Romney type Republican, if you're a Mike Pence type Republican, you hate the fact that MAGA was able to come in and take over your party. This kind of movement in this populist movement, the same thing was supposed to happen on the left. But AOC, all these other guys, they were not serious people. But what Trump is bringing to the table is he don't care about partisan ideology. He just cares about results. This is something that speaks to independent voters, in my view. So I want to highlight this before I end off this video.
And unlike your current radical Democrat regime, I'm not driven by partisan ideology. I'm driven by results, and I'm driven by New York common sense. It's common sense, right? Right? It's common sense. You know, I like to say the party, this is a great party. I like to say the party is really, you know, we're conservative and all that, right? Who knows? You know what we are? We're really people with common sense. We need walls. We need good elections. We want low taxes. We want great police officers that are well taken care of. We don't want to defund the police. We're the party of common sense more than anything else, and it's picked up a lot of steam. It's true. My first week back in the Oval Office, I will clean up and call up your governor and mayors all across your state, and I will tell them it's time to work together. They're largely Democrats. It's time to work together for the good of the people. Going to do it. And despite all of the persecution I've endured from the corrupt judicial system in New York, it's a corrupt system. I love the people of this state, and I want to give back. I want to give back to you. I've had a great life. I want to give back to you. We're going to give it back to you. We're going to make this city and we're going to make this state incredible again. To
That's a great speech. I think that's from his Long Island, New York speech. That rally was a good rally. I heard a lot of buzz about that rally. And that was just a snippet of what you're saying. If you're the type of person you want to end tribalistic politics, if you're the kind of person that just like, hey, we need to get bipartisan support, only one candidacy has that. RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, former Democrats, people who left the Democratic Party for a reason, has joined Donald Trump. And you want to vote in Kamala Harris because she got 100 politicians voting for her, endorsing her. The Mitt Romney type Republicans endorsing her. Dick Cheney endorsing her. Liz Cheney, I believe, endorsed her. Who cares about these people? These people represent everything that we hated about the Republican Party. Everything my father hated about the Republican Party. The Dick Cheneys, the Liz Cheneys, the Mitt Romneys. Even though my dad voted for Mitt Romney because he saw Obama as like the worst trade-off. He's like, I gave Obama a chance. He didn't do nothing. Mitt Romney. And then Trump came along, and my dad really liked Trump. Keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is insanity. And it's time to, hey, look, our life was better under Trump. Let's put him back in. Because it will be insane to put someone a part of this current administration that was responsible for the highest inflation rate in 40 years, responsible for the state of the economy today, and promoting her to be your president. That is truly insanity. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree with my angle? Do you don't? I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys watching the end of the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.